Hey YouTube land, Ty Andrews here doing another action figure review, and today we're having a look at more of the Super 7 G.I. Joe Ultimates line, and this is more Wave 2. In fact, did I review any of the Wave 2 stuff yet? Nope, this is actually Wave 2. So Wave 2 consists of 4 figures, which is Destro, Baroness, so it's 2 heroes, 2 villains, if you want to put it that way, or 2 good guys, 2 bad guys. That was the same loadout for the first wave. There was 2 good guys and 2 bad guys, technically, because there was also the comic book variant of the Bat. So, and there's a couple of other variants in this wave as well. So technically, if you just go with the standard wave, there's 2 of each. And this is the Lady Jaye box. So again, you get the same cardboard mailer with G.I. Joe logo and the character's name on the front. Now, I will say that I did pick up these secondhand off eBay, so I'd managed to get a good deal on them. I think I said in one of the previous videos that I got a really good deal on Flint and Jay together, so I picked them up. So they did come loose, so I'm not sure exactly how they're packed in the box, as in if they have any accessories already attached, but the way she came, when we get to her, we'll explain. So you still get the same slipcover box with the window box packaging. You get her dog tag name down below, and it says Covert Operations on the dog tag, because she was one of the covert operations specialists. And just flipping around the back, you still get that same kind of embossed on the back, and then you get some cartoon images of her, and you get a write-up for her. So for Lady Jaye, it's the Covert Operations, file name Hart Burnett Allison Orr. Then it's the serial number. I'm not going to read that out, but there is a serial number. Primary military specialty intelligence, primary or secondary military specialty personnel clerk. Birthplace Martha's Vineyard, Massachusetts. Grade E4. Lady Jaye graduated from I'm trying to read it, it's hard to see it on the green with the light. Bryn Mawr, and did her MAWR, is it? I'm not sure how that is pronounced. I think it's Mawr. Bryn Mawr. Is that a place? She did her graduate work at Trinity College in Dublin, where she acquired the faint Gaelic lit and adorns her speech. Accomplished actress and mime, as well as a studious I'm butchering that, as well as a studied linguist. She can easily pass as a native in France, Italy, Poland, Russia, Germany, Afghanistan, Spain, and Portugal. Airborne and Ranger qualified graduate. Intelligence School, Fort Hall-Bird qualified expert. M16, M19, is that 11A1, and reflex crossbow. Lady Jaye doesn't go in for that phony wig and rubber mask brand of disguise like those jokers on Mission Improbable. Obviously a nod to another TV series. She becomes the subject, body language, subtle gestures, correct shading of dialect, the right look in the eye, cloak and sandaled. I'm assuming it's supposed to be cloak and dagger, but you know, cloak and sandaled. She can squat down with a basket of oranges in any Middle Eastern market and blend in perfectly. Yeah, so that is her final card. If you read through, if you had already read it before I finished it, fair enough. But yeah, she's one of the covert specialists for the Joe team. So moving that aside, we'll have a look at the figure itself. One thing of note, actually, before I go on to the figure, when they did release her over here in Ireland and in Europe, I believe, under the Action Force banner. So for those who may not know, G.I. Joe wasn't released as G.I. Joe for a while over in Ireland and Europe. They were released under a company called Palitoy, and were giving the Action Force banner, which is where this guy, the repaint of Red Jackal, comes into, or Destro as Red Jackal comes into play, because the original Red Jackal figure, which I mentioned in the review for Red Jackal, was a repaint of this guy, which is the original Destro figure. The only difference was he had that red chest with the white border on his collar instead of the skin tone, and he had the skull and crossbone motif from the Red Shadow faction. Just like with the Action Force figures, they changed the birthplaces of some of the characters, and for Lady Jaye, she was actually her birthplace on the European file card was, and I'm not sure if it's the same across the board in like different European countries. They may have, you know, readjusted it for European countries, but the one here in Ireland, she was actually born in Cork in Ireland, which is the area of Ireland that I'm actually from. So it was kind of, she's like native in both her, she's semi-native in her American file card with the being trained in Trinity College in Dublin, and she has a more native kind of workplace for her European counterpart, which is kind of cool. So onto the figure at hand. She does stand in around the same height. She is the first of the female figures that I have gotten to review, so she is around the 7-inch mark, and she stands quite well. The hips on my one are a little bit on the floppy side, which is possibly why the seller was getting rid of his stuff. I don't mind it. It's too much. You can actually get away with it. It's not too bad. She does come with her signature quiver that was on her in the box, so I think this is packed on her in the box. It just slips over one of her, actually you need to pop her head off to actually put it on, so bear with me a second. So the head is just on a ball peg, so the way it sits is it sits over her left shoulder, and I'm going to put her default head on. Remember which one of these two is the default head. I think it's this one, so bear with me a second. There we go. So in the box, obviously she has kind of more neutral, I think she has the punching hands on in the box, but she comes with her quiver attached to her in the box. Now I will stress that she is one of the figures that has the most accessories so far. I think she has the highest accessory count so far that I've gotten, but saying that, she also has the highest accessory count of potentially losable accessories, and I'll go into that now before I proceed. So she comes with 3 javelins. These are, she has this kind of weird spear javelin. I know she used different types of javelins in this show. She has one javelin, which, or is it 2? No, it's this one. One javelin is specifically for all her accessories. She has kind of a standard javelin, and then I can get all her little accessories because there's such a lot of them. There's one that has a different head with a kind of rope on it. There's actually 2 with ropes on it. I think this is supposed to be some sort of grappling hook one. It's all coiled up, and I didn't want to uncoil it in case I ended up losing the thing. But she has a lot of these small silver javelin heads. This one is kind of iconic. It's the one with flame on it, and I remember this from an episode. I think, I could be getting her episode wrong, but I think it's the episode where she goes to like a castle in Scotland, and it turns out to be Destro's ancestral home, and there's some link between her and Destro. I have a feeling that there's like a fire pit that she dips one of her javelins into and throws it as a distraction, and I believe that is from that episode. I could be wrong, but I do remember there being an episode where she tipped the javelin head into a fire or in some sort of flame and was able to create like a distraction or a weapon with it. There's another different type of head. As I said, there's a lot of different javelin heads, and I believe they all go for the one. I don't think the tops off the other ones pop out. I could be wrong. One of them has a bit of what looks like a lot of glue on it, and I'm not sure if that's how it was packed. It might have gotten over glued when they were putting it together. But As I said, this is second hand, so some of the bits may or may not be correct. So she has a lot of heads for the javelin, and in total, if I do a head count, no pun intended, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. There's 9 different javelin spear tip type things for the javelin, and depending which one you want to have left in it, you can keep one stored, and then the rest unfortunately have nowhere to go. So again, they're very small and potentially losable for it. She does come with extra sets of hands. So aside from her pistol grip hand or trigger finger hand, right, have her, I seem to be missing one of her hands. I think she has a left and right trigger finger hand. I seem to be missing that at the moment. She does have grip hands for the spear that are specifically designed to hold on to the javelins. So if I just pop the javelin into her hand, similar to how Cobra Commander had one for his little staff, she has one for her spears. Now the hinge on these are up down instead of side to side, so it is arranged, the hinge is done on a specific way. The hands, kind of barrel gripping hands, are side to side or up and down, depending on which way you want to put them in the hand or onto the hand. She has a right trigger finger. She has 2 punching hands, and she has a left and right of these. I believe she should have had a left and right trigger finger hand, and I seem to have misplaced that. Accessory, I did have all the accessories in the bag together, and I probably might have overlooked it when I was putting stuff away, because I pushed pretty much all the G.I. Joe figures, accessories together. I'm not seeing it, but I do believe she does have a left and right trigger hand. She has a slightly more wide grip hand as well for grasping her other accessory she comes with, which is, you can actually use the trigger finger hands for this. Doesn't make much of a difference. She comes with her iconic handheld camera. If you ever had the original G.I. or Lady Jaye figure, you recognize this accessory. She came with a little green version of this on the original figure. She didn't have any of the javelin stuff on the original figure. She had a camera, a backpack, and she did come with a weapon, and I cannot remember what type of weapon. Oh, I think her weapon was, yeah, it was this thing, which is what it is a nod to her original weapon, which is kind of a, I'm not even sure what it is. It's like a kind of rocket propelled, like almost like an RPG launcher, but it does have a separate missile part. You only get the one of these, thankfully, so you don't get any more to lose, but you have this thing, and she does hold it in her hand, and you can grip it with her other hand, so she can have it two-handed. I'm assuming the other kind of grip hand is for that as well. You can make it look a little bit more natural, but she does have that. On top of that, she also comes with one of the standard G.I. Joe laser rifles. So she actually has quite a plethora of weaponry. So if you want her to be kind of more kind of cartoonish-esque accurate, you can have her holding the iconic laser rifle. I'm not sure if they had a specific name for those types of laser rifles. They may have done, I'm not too sure, but she does hold it quite well, and her hand is hinged, so you can have it in kind of in different poses, which is quite nice. And then just before I get on to the articulation, because she does have 2 other heads, she has the default head is kind of standard head. She has a slight open mouth head. I'm sure like not open mouth, but you can just see the teeth. Kind of a gritted head is probably the best way to describe it. And she has a more open mouth head. Oh, get it to focus. And that one has a headset on. Just like with Duke and with Flint, they all have a kind of headset head, where they have like a headphones on with a microphone piece. Flint's one is a little bit more messy than the others. His microphone tends to be drooping a lot on my one. There is one other accessory I nearly forgot. She does have a small removable dagger. Actually, no, the grip hand should work well with this. So you can hold it with her spear grip hands. So you have that. But she has a small removable dagger that's just on the front of her harness. And she does have quite a lot of articulation. As I said, she is one of the first of the female figures that they've released, I believe. There wasn't any female figures in the first line or first wave, and she is first of the female figures I'm getting to review. So the head is on that ball joint, so you get some side to side, and you can do a 360. A little bit of tilt up and down, but not much. The arms can go out that much. You can rotate all the way around. You have a bicep swivel. Again, just like with the other figures, there is a cut at the elbow just to give a better 90-degree bend at one specific point on it. So if you have the hand kind of turned, you don't get that full bend on it, but you do have a nice wrist articulation, and depending on which wrist you have in, you have the up down and stuff like that. You have the waist articulation, you have a diaphragm joint, and you have a rocker kind of ankle joint thing. So she also has the kind of forward, you can get a seated position, not much back. You have a single jointed elbow or knee. There's no swivel in the knee, and then there is a swivel in the boot cut, and you have those rocker ankles with peg holds on the feet. So she has quite a lot of range of articulation, and she looks pretty good next to her counterparts. Now, I know people have been kind of moaning that she has skin tone plastic instead of painted skin. So if I will grab in Flint, who has that same skin tone plastic that people have been whinging about, or moaning about, whining about, whichever way you want to put it. And then I'll bring in Duke. So Duke does have painted skin tone for most of him, actually for all of them, but it is mostly due to the fact that he has lower sleeves than Flint. So his sleeves do like where Flint's bottom sleeve is, there is painted skin tone, and on his neck joint area. Same with Lady Jaye, just where her exposed skin on the chest area is painted, but they were able to get away with using just bare plastic skin tone for the head and for the arms. Personally, I think it's slightly better than having the painted skin, because you have less chance of paint rub on the joints, or especially on the accessories. When, like, you obviously with stuff like helmets and hats and stuff, you will have paint rub with that, but you won't have paint rub on the skin area of the figure. So, and it's probably a little bit of a cost cutting measure, where instead of having to paint, like add paint to a whole figure, you can get away with adding skin tone. But across the board, I don't think it's that bad. And to be fair, other companies have been doing it for years. Marvel Legends have been doing it with any character that has skin exposed on a open shirt or anything like that. They'll have to paint the skin on that as well, and they'll have either skin tone plastic. So I don't see what the huge issue is, because other companies have been doing it for much longer. It's just when Super7 seems to have swapped to this method, people seem to have lost their minds a little bit over it. But maybe it's just me. I haven't found any issue with it so far, but again, I only have these few figures to compare them with. But overall, I think she is a really good figure. I do recommend picking up this line. At first I was hesitant about getting it, because again, didn't want to collect yet another scale line of G.I. Joe figures, because classified and the classic 3 3/4 inch figure line, which is now defunct slightly at the moment, is kind of out, kind of there. Oh, and if you, again, like just with Flint, if you have that accessory pack from the McFarlane, the munitions accessory pack, the weapons and that are in scale to these figures, so she does look cool with some of those kind of more modern, realistic style weapons. Even though she's based on a cartoon depiction of the character, she does look pretty good. And she does actually have her, I think it's a airborne forest, or is it ranger symbol on her shoulder? I could never tell. Flint has one, and Duke has this kind of eagle pattern thing on his chest, so they do have extra paint apps for those. But overall, I do like this line. So I'm gonna wrap this up here. Hopefully you got through my review and you enjoyed it, and as always, please feel free to like, comment and subscribe to my channel. Cheers guys.